Welcome back. You're with Rachel Pickworth from Mad Leaders, and we are here to explore in this video, the last video in the series. We're here to explore the Elevate in 90 Days program. What we've covered so far is what led me to create this program. And what I want to explore in this video is what is the program all about and how is it going to support the leaders in your organization, the team leaders, the managers in your organization to elevate to the next level. What we're going to cover in this video is the program itself, the platform, the content throughout the program. We're going to explore the public program versus the customized program. You can think about which is the best option. Because the customized program is a program that can have your logo on it. It can have a welcome message from a senior leader in the business, and it can be customized with videos and integrated into the business so that it connects in to the people and culture team with weekly progress reports, etc. As I said in the previous videos, I explored that most leaders want to be highly effective, but they don't know how. That led me to create the program. And then when diving into why I created the specific content for leaders in the program, what I found after working with leaders over the last 20 years is that people want to do a great job. They want to be a great leader, and they embark on a journey of becoming a leader excited. They're aspirational. They want to make a difference to their team, to the organization, and they have a vision, an idea of that is going to be possible for them. And then before long, they kind of hit the reality of what it is to be a leader, the juggling that they have to do. And so what can happen is they can find themselves on a talent ladder that is around that kind of below the line, low performer, poor performer, or above the line in the performer area, and even top talent if they're really skilled at what they do. And what I found after working with leaders over all of these years, that there was a direct link between those leaders on this ladder with the next ladder. So what we have over here is a ladder. It's more around how people are operating. Are they in a place where they're feeling at the bottom, drowning and lost? Are they feeling like they're chasing their tail in that hamster wheel? Or are they above the line where they're in control? They have that time management under control, and they can be elevated up to a strategic view, strategic in terms of their thinking and in terms of themselves and the way that they're able to operate and view the whole business and their team within that business and themselves within that business, and strategically in terms of planning and understanding the wider scope in terms of their industry, the business, and across the business. And they've got that wider view and they're able to operate with that wider view in mind. And then we have what I call on purpose, is when people are feeling purposeful, like they're doing the work they're meant to be doing in the world. They're making their greatest impact, making a difference, providing their greatest value. So what I found was those leaders who were considered performer, top talent, and legacy leaders, when we look across at the other ladder, they were the leaders that were in control, were systemized, structured, had the time management, had the strategic view, were operating strategically, and were able to then elevate up to being able to do the work that they could really do, bring their greatest value, and be at the top of, that aspirational, if we think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where they're able to be self-actualized and be all of who they are and in their role and in their work. And so that got me thinking over the years that I would find leaders coming to me, they would be around the red line somewhere or below that, and I would also recognize that they were below the line over on the other ladder. And so I started thinking about, so how could I support them? So I started coming up with systems and knowledge. I have a training background. I used to work for an RTO and be a trainer. I started thinking about, my coaching hat, my training hat, my experience with leaders and those intimate conversations that I was having with them, where they were telling me the truth, because I was an external coach and they share that information. And I started to come up with structure and systems and tools and education So I was coaching, but also providing that education. And it was really to look at how can I get these leaders as quickly as possible to move up above the red line so that they're in control, strategic, structured, organized, and able to be well planned and have a calmer state of mind rather than being like a duck, with a head above water and the legs scrambling underneath. It was about feeling a sense of control and being able to think and operate from that place rather than a place of scrambling and being reactive and even in a state of panic or frenzy or being frantic. And so what I did over the years was I came up with I guess you could say, my thought leadership around what leaders need, the fundamentals, whether they're a team leader or whether they're a senior leader, still the skills that they need. And so what we have here is a roadmap. This has been distilled over time. This is the 4th iteration of this program. It's a 90-day program delivered over 13 weeks. What we have, and you can see in the blue here, are 4 core live workshops. We have the welcome workshop, then we have 3 lessons and another workshop, a further 3 lessons, another live workshop, further 3 lessons, and a final completion workshop. So what we're wanting to do across the 90 days is deliver bite-sized, critical, meaty content with short and punchy lessons. The aim for every lesson every week is a 20-minute video on one critical subject with one critical piece of activity around that week so that they're having a shift in the way that they operate. What we're wanting is to elevate the way that they operate. And we're focusing in on a shift around their habits and behaviors. We're putting in place systems and structure and tools so that these leaders are having that shift into being strategic, organized, in control. What we're aiming for with this program is growth. This is a focus on development and a focus on growth. We're looking at growing in the 90-day period, but it's really important that we haven't got a situation where leaders are going off to a program having this intensive experience where they grow and elevate and have insights and learn a lot and apply these learnings, perhaps, but then it's not sort of embedded moving forward. And so what we're doing with this program, my intention with this program, is that they have 90-day growth in the time that they're in the program itself, but they're setting these systems and structures in place so that this learning continues. They continue to grow into the future. And so the outcomes of the program are the following 3 outcomes. 1, it's about elevating you, the participant. And it's about elevating growth mindset, a clarity of purpose, building self-awareness, and we'll dive into the feedback in a moment, building confidence and self-belief, really building a sense of commitment and being able to drive their own journey, their own career, their own development, having a strategic view and strategic activity and being well organized with their time management. The second core outcome here is elevating their leadership. And I'm actually going to say management and leadership because what tends to happen is these technical people get elevated into a leadership role. There may not even be clarity around how much time should I be spending on management and leadership, and in fact, what is management and leadership? So we want to explore that and ensure that these leaders have a focus on both management and leadership, and we absolutely do that in the program. The program is built around core management skills. When there's a lack of that conversation right now, it tends to be a focus on leadership, but we need strong fundamental management skills in place in order for these leaders to lead well. And so the second outcome is a focus on team management, uplift, communication skills, systems and tools, developing people, strategic activity, delivery and planning, aligning people, and creating and sharing a vision. And then outcome 3 is about elevating the career of the participants. We focus in on career planning, informal mentors, building their network, creating opportunities in the business, aligning their career pathway with their purpose and strengths, and developing their brand as a go-to leader so that people in the business seek them out to work with them and want them to be on their team. We want a leader in the business to drive their own career planning, put a focus on their own development, on their own career planning, and drive that rather than sitting back and waiting for the business to drive their career and capability development. So now let's dive into the lessons themselves. We see here at the front end, we have the welcome workshop. I've already mentioned that before. What that looks like is that it goes for 2 hours. It's a participant and manager workshop. For the first hour, we have the participants and the managers on the workshop, and this is held live on Zoom. And it's really about understanding what the program is all about, what the expectations are, and for the managers to understand how they play a role in the journey of the participants. And it's a critical element to the program. Second half of the workshop is for participants only, and it's where we explore purpose. We develop a why statement based on Simon Sinek's work, and they leave with goals for the short and medium and long term. Then we dive into the next 4 weeks. Week 2, so a week after the welcome workshop, we have a leadership and management focus where we unpack leadership and management, and there's also a self-assessment. With the customized program, this can be customized to suit your organization or business if you have your unique leadership capabilities or leadership framework. This is a leadership capabilities self-assessment, but it's also a feedback tool. So there are tabs at the bottom. There's a self-assessment tab and a feedback tab. And that's because in week 3, we have management one-to-one feedback. You'll see here on the outline, the program outline, week 2 is a leadership self-assessment. Week 3 is a management one-to-one feedback process. And then in week 4 is team leadership feedback. So it's a self-driven, informal, 360-degree feedback process. With the team leadership feedback in week 4, there's actually a tool that is sent out to team members to gather feedback. So we have week 2 leadership self-assessment, week 3 management one-to-one feedback, where the participant reaches out to 3 or more people in the business, peers and management to provide feedback using that tool. In this tool, in the final tab, what happens is that the individual can see how they have assessed themselves, and then a graph shows how the other people have assessed them and where is the alignment and where is the disparity in that assessment to build self-awareness. And then in week 4, we have the team leadership feedback. What we're after here is for the participants to drive this process themselves and to seek out that feedback, to have conversations, to unpack that feedback with the aim of understanding what are the participants' 6 core strengths and what are the opportunities for development, so that they can then look at what are my 6 core priorities in terms of my development, which will feed into their development planning. And also when they meet with their manager to debrief this and talk about how to address the gaps, they're going to be able to come up with a plan to work out what are the best ways to address these capability gaps. The other advantage of this is that by going out to management and seeking out feedback and then debriefing on that feedback, they're able to share their goals, they're able to share their why statement, and for the wider business to understand how to support this individual with their development, but also how can this individual leverage their strengths to provide greater value in the business in various ways. So that's the first 4 weeks after the welcome workshop. That takes us through to week 5, where we have a workshop which is on feedback culture. So we're tying together the previous 3 lessons. So what we want to do in this workshop is support the leaders to know how to instill, to grow a feedback culture with their team, so that they're constantly focused on development and they're all becoming comfortable with feedback. We want feedback to be part of the day-to-day in the organization for these leaders, so that there's a constant focus on development and growth. Then we move into the next stage, which is month 2. Week 6, what happens is they learn how to set up a strategic calendar, so they're organized. We look at what meetings should you have across the year. What are the quarterly meetings? What are the monthly meetings? What are the weekly meetings? And then what one-to-one meetings need to occur with their direct reports, so that everyone is aligned and engaged, but also with their 1-up manager and even perhaps their 2-up manager. Is how do we make a recurring strategic leadership calendar setup structure, so that these individuals are planned and organized, know what's coming up, and it's predictable, and they're predictable leaders, so that people in the business know what to expect, have a lot of certainty, and have a lot of faith in these leaders, that they're organized, structured, and focused on the important issues. We also look at the calendar in terms of weeks and what has to happen across the course of a week, so that these leaders are proactive, organized, and structured, and above the line on the ladder. The other element to this is that I provide a structure, a template for running effective one-on-ones. I tell them exactly how to do it. I give them a template and I say you can do it this way, or you can edit this to suit your needs. Every leader is different. Every team is different. Every person is different. And so these templates, everything within the entire program is flexible, so that these leaders have something to start with and can then make them their own. We want these leaders confidently and competently delivering effective one-on-ones and running those wider meetings across the year as well. And week 9 is another live workshop where we focus in on delivery planning, and the individuals leave that session with a clear delivery plan for the next 3 months, but also a system around how to continue that into the future. So then we move into the final month. We have here building brand and visibility. I supply another template, which is a strategic communication strategy, a way to communicate achievement, to align people, to acknowledge others, to communicate priorities. It's a tool to communicate once a month up the business, across the business, and into the team, so that everyone feels clear about what's going on, what are the priorities, what's the delivery plan, and it's creating certainty for everyone and building the brand of the participant in the business, because once again, they're being perceived as someone who is organized, proactive, in control, and at the top of the ladder. In week 11, we look at career goals and planning, getting in the driver's seat, getting planned and having goals around that, being able to communicate those effectively to key people in the business so that they're on board and supporting with the development. And so it's a 90-day systemized structure. Then we move into informal mentors. Often in an organization, I see that there is a formal mentoring program, but people, unless they're on that program, don't do anything about finding mentors. And so this is about really embedding, again, within that calendar, a way to go out to seek informal mentors, even if it's one session a month with somebody, seeking out wisdom, guidance, advice from people in the business to support them to grow, but also to again build that wider network. And then finally in week 13, we have the completion workshop where we bring it all together. We have a feedback process and we look into the future, what's coming up next. The other thing I will mention is that throughout the program, the manager is brought on the journey. So when they have the welcome workshop, the manager is also brought in obviously to that workshop, but then throughout the program, I'm sending emails with videos and updates out to the managers of the participants so they know what to expect. They know how to support these individuals to provide that support, but also provide accountability to ensure that they stay on track so there is a strong return on investment with people staying in the program. Also, at the end of each month, so at the end of the first month, the second month, and the final month, there is a checklist. Before they move on, they go in and do the checklist online, and they can complete that checklist to make sure they've done everything they needed to do, all of the activity, all of the actions for that month. That is then when they hit submit, that email is then sent to them so they know if they have completed the action or if there are actions they still need to complete. With the customized program where this is integrated into the organisation, then the people and culture team, the organisational development team, can also receive updates as well with the checklist. So the person receives an email with their responses, but so does the people and culture team, so they can see where the participants are at in their journey. And understand what actions are being taken and what still need to be taken. The focus with this program is about it being short and punchy. I know leaders, I know their minds, I know how busy they are, and I know that if I'm giving them a program that has hours and hours of video, hours of theory, lots of essays, they're not going to do it. We need this to be practical, relevant, short and punchy, bite-sized learning, an activity that's completely aligned to their day-to-day work so they can see how it connects and they can see how it's going to make their lives easier. So we want that learning in that one lesson a week. We want them to go away with that action and implement it immediately. And then we want that ongoing integration into the way they operate moving forward. Now, also when creating content for this program, I've looked at how do adults learn. What we know from the research is that adult learners learn 10%, if you see over on the right here, 10% of adult learners learn from participating in formal and structured learning programs. 20% is about learning from others and guided skill application back on the job. And 70% of their learning is from experiences as well as use of insight, tools, coaching and mentoring, and through their manager. So I've kept that in mind. What I'm doing all the way through this program is making the program short, punchy, but driving as much as possible a focus out to the 20% and the 70%, where they're going to be able to use tools, where they're going to be able to reach out to mentors, turn to their manager for coaching, where they're going to be able to apply this learning back in the workplace straight away to have that integration into their workplace, embed that learning. And so how managers support participants is they're involved all the way along, as you heard before. They're on that welcome workshop and they support with feedback in week 1. They support with debriefing that feedback and linking that to development planning in week 4. They have time in their calendar for the participant throughout the program, and we embed that in week 5, and we embed that moving forward at least once a month, managing up and scheduling a time in their calendar every month, because those leaders need to be managed and led in order to continue their growth and provide their greatest value. And also in delivery planning, they're involved in that process in week 9. And as I said earlier, the managers have their own dedicated email sequence We want to provide that accountability around these individuals. So let's unpack the public program versus the customized program. The program itself sits in an online platform. It's a portal, very simple to use. People log in with their email and password. The customized program is a dedicated program for the organization where it's co-branded. There's a welcome video from a senior leader in the business. Someone from the organization attends the live workshop, and it's integrated into the business. We can also have your unique leadership capabilities built into the program as well, and with a self-assessment tool and a feedback tool that wraps around your unique capabilities. And as I said earlier, we can integrate the program into the business, into the people and culture team, and providing weekly progress reports and other things alongside that. And then when we come to the public dates, there are 4 dates across the year that you can see on screen now. And these can be for participants of 1 to 100, could be 1,000. These are the public dates, and they roll out for 90 days from the dates that you see on screen here. In terms of pricing, the single participant fee is $1,800 plus GST per participant, and the customization element is on top of that. If this is something that you think is a great way to develop the leaders in your organization, the team leaders and the managers in your business, and build their effectiveness, then the next step is to book a call and we can have a chat about how we can support you to do that, whether it's the public program or the customized program. There's a button here on the screen to make a time in my calendar. And also, if you're interested in public dates, the information is below and you can learn more about how to do that. So thank you so much for joining me in this series of videos, and I look forward to connecting with you in the future.